This great set of magical makes from Sarah Jackman Reid featured jousting knights, magical unicorns, fire-breathing dragons and underwater mermaids, all created using stamps from the Magical Day stamp set from Stampin' Up. In this video, we're going to be looking at how you can make this cool mermaid shaker card using a partial die cutting technique to cut the aperture behind the mermaid stamp. Let's take a look and see what's involved in putting this card together. You can use the partial die cutting technique to cut an aperture of any shape. We're going to use a circle die to cut ours. This is the background paper I'm going to use for the card. First off, I'm going to start by drawing a circle in the place where I want it to sit on in the aperture. So I'm just using the outside of my die cut for the right size, and I'm drawing around that in pencil. So I've got the point marked on my paper where the aperture is going to sit. Now you need to use an edger die. I'm using this one here, which is from the Sarah Signature Shabby Chic cover mount that was on Card Making and Papercraft issue 179, our sister title. Now I'm just going to cut some small slits in the side of the circle that I've drawn with pencil. I'm using a craft knife, cutting on my craft mat, and you just want to cut two small incisions on the edge of the circle so that you can thread these thin edged dies through the holes. So it's then going to it's sitting in front of the paper where we want it to cut through, and then on the back here, this is the back of the paper, these sweet little boats, you can see where it's protruding, and because the cutting edge is kind of behind the paper there, even when we run it through the die cutting machine, even though the die is in place there, the cutting edge is behind the paper, so it's not going to cut on the outside of our aperture. It's just going to cut through in those spaces where we marked on the edges of the aperture. So I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine a couple of times. So let's see what we've got here. There you can almost see already it's cut just through that bit within the circle where we threaded the edger die through. So if I take the washi off, we'll be able to see that a bit better. So I'm just moving that from the back. If I pop my die out, there we have it. So we've cut our nice edger shape. That's going to be the kind of water's edge that the mermaid is going to sit on. So now, if you want, you can use your craft knife and cut your aperture by hand. I'm going to use a circle die as I've got one. I've got this clock shape, but it's got the right size circle that I want for this shape. It's just going to cut around the outside edge. So I'm just having to slightly enlarge those slits I made around the side to make sure that I can sit the die in the right place within that circle. I'm lining the cutting edge of this circle die up with the edge in the pencil that I drew when I was drawing the shape of the aperture I wanted. So I've just stuck that down with a bit of washi to make sure it stays in place. And now we'll run that through the die cutting machine a couple of times. If I open up my die cutting machine plates, you can see that now that has cut through. Again, the cutting edge is only on the bit where it's touching the paper, where we've threaded it through to the back. Here we are looking at the back here. This bit, the cutting edge around the outside edge of the die is in front of the paper, so it doesn't cut. But there where it was sitting around under the other die cut we made with the edger die, we've got a perfect aperture ready for us to make into a shaker for our beautiful mermaid card. We hope you have fun crafting this great shaker card. There's plenty more great techniques you can try with partial die cutting, so keep an eye on Papercraft Inspirations magazine for more tips and ideas for your card making.